Pleasure to introduce Mr. John Stephenson, Executive Director from the Campbell Foundation, or the Campbell Foundation, based in Atlanta. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Press your button.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Chairman Lewis and Chairman McDermott, Representative Bustani, Representative Linder, and members of the subcommittees, thank you for holding this hearing. I'm John Stephenson, Executive Director of the J. Bulow Campbell Foundation, the Courts Foundation, and the Fraser Parker Foundation. I'm also a consultant to the Georgia Health Foundation, all of Atlanta. My wife, Lizanne Stephenson, is Program Director for the Imlay Foundation in Atlanta, and she is in the audience today. These foundations together award approximately $30 million each year to charitable organizations in Atlanta and throughout Georgia. The Atlanta Community Food Bank, which supplies over 800 agencies with food for families in need, is one of our beneficiaries. In my 25 years serving these foundations, there has never been a business cycle, a recession, or even the national crisis of 9/11 that compares to the breadth and depth and length of the economic impact the current recession has had on the citizenry of Georgia. With your permission, I would like to present a longer testimony, which includes a very thorough response to your questions from the Atlanta Food Bank. I'm proud to say that on Monday of this week, Bill Bowling, the founder of the Atlanta Food Bank, received Atlanta's most recognized Civic Achievement Award, the Shining Light Award. Chairman Lewis is very familiar with this award, and I know he is pleased about that also. The food bank began 30 years ago out of a small closet at St. Luke's Episcopal Church, but today it operates a 129,000 square foot state-of-the-art food distribution center that processes 20 million pounds of food annually. In October 2008, the food bank experienced a dramatic 28% spike in demand for food that reduced its 6 weeks inventory of commodities to a weekly, sometimes daily, supply. No doubt this experience was shared by communities large and small throughout the country, straining all resources in an effort to provide food to families, many of whom would never have imagined needing such assistance. You've heard the report about the Department of Agriculture, so I won't repeat those statistics. During the last 12 months, hundreds of metropolitan Atlanta's human services organizations have been overwhelmed by what has been referred to as the perfect storm of increased demand for assistance and a decline in charitable contributions. These agencies, by necessity, have responded by reducing staff, cutting expenses, consolidating programs, limiting services, and in some cases, closing. The philanthropic community began to respond immediately as well. Atlanta's Community Foundation encouraged its hundreds of donor advisors to make grants to agencies affected by the economic downturn, and the response was very positive. In 2008, Atlanta's donor advisors gave $72 million from $272 million in donor-advised funds at the Community Foundation. That's an astounding 25.6%. Foundations like the Campbell Foundation, which primarily give to bricks and mortar projects, moved beyond standard practices and made special grants, like the one to the Atlanta Food Bank, to purchase a $400,000 truck to take advantage of a new strategic relationship with Walmart. Foundations awarded grants to the United Way, to the Salvation Army, to shelters, mental health agencies, and children's agencies, and other frontline charities for capacity building and budget relief. The philanthropic community appreciates the concern shown by government leaders and their resolve to identify ways to meet the unprecedented demands and unmet needs experienced by food banks and other charities every day. In Atlanta, we are particularly grateful for the commitment of our Congressman, Chairman Lewis, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of our city and region. I am confident that the same can be said of every member of the subcommittees in their home-owned areas. Congress can help in the following ways. Encourage philanthropy in every way possible. Philanthropy has been one of the defining distinctions of American society. and historically federal and state governments have deliberately encouraged private philanthropy through tax policy. Local donors are best able to be effective in identifying local needs and responding quickly, efficiently, and generously. We commend the House for its decision not to include a cap on charitable deductions among the revenue offsets in the recently passed health care legislation. Doing so would have had a very real adverse effect upon giving. There are two bills we would like for you to seriously consider. H.R. 4090, introduced by key members of these subcommittees, including Chairman Lewis of Georgia, would replace the current two-tier excise tax on private foundations with a single revenue-neutral rate. Their bill and similar legislation introduced in Senate Bill 676 will provide additional charitable dollars in times such as these when the philanthropic community seeks to meet increased demand with diminished resources. Secondly, H.R. 1250 would extend current law authorizing the rollover of IRAs to qualified charities without penalty and would include donor-advised funds at the community foundations. Your committee may want to consider ways to provide additional incentives to large national food chains, that's been mentioned, and food manufacturing concerns, and that's been addressed in the attachment to my testimony from the Atlanta Food Bank. Beyond that, I would like to say that the Council on Foundations and the Southeastern Council on Foundations and other regional associations stand ready to help your committee with any data, any suggestions, and we recommit to you our careful attention to this important subject. Thank you very much.